I lost my connection for a minute, but I think I'm back on, you guys. So, see if I can check here, right where we left off. Hopefully I didn't lose everyone. There's Diane is here, okay. So, uploaded. Okay, so I'm back on, you guys. Hopefully you can catch me. I lost the connection there for a minute. I don't know what happened, but we're gonna start back right where we left off, and I hope everyone can just hop back onto the new feed. Sorry about that. You know, of course, we always have our technical issues when we go live. Welcome back. Hi, Susan. Thank you. And Liz is starting. Okay, here I am. I see some people have found me, so I'm happy for that, and hopefully I didn't lose anyone. Okay, yes, there are my friends. So we're doing Shadow Arrow Cardi, the Shadow Arrow Cardi from the winter 2020 issue of Crochet magazine. Okay, you guys, so let's just get started. Rafi says you're back. Good, I'm glad I'm back. Hopefully I didn't lose too many people. And if you're just popping on, we're just starting with the tutorial anyway, so I'm just going to show you how this really fun cardigan is constructed, and I'm going to show you the stitches. That Tamara says, did something happen? Yes, I lost the live stream, and that just happens sometimes. I don't know why. There's from India, my friend from India. Thank you for joining me back. And there is my friend Francis from New Jersey. Hi, Fran. That looks pretty good. I'm glad everybody's back. Let's just, when you're live, there's technical things that happen. And I think it takes a lot of, I'm not very technical, but I know it takes a lot of juice, like Wi-Fi juice, to stream these videos. So it probably just lost connection for a minute, but we are back and we are good to go. And I'm going to start with a chain of 29. I'm going to show you how to do, hi Liz, Diane, you didn't lose me. Good, thanks Diane. I'm going to show you how to do the inset first, and then I'm going to show you how to add like the side. And then I'm going to show you how you can kind of put it all together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So I'm doing like half of what the pattern calls for, just so I can give you, you know, like a little sample. But of course, you're going to go by whatever size you decide to do, and you're going to chain as many as the pattern says, okay? There's Gloria from Georgia. Hi, Gloria. Jessica and Bonnie are here. Hello, Jessica and Bonnie. And then there's my friend Ann and Beth. And Angie's here and Brenda's here. Linda says hello from Alberta. So I'm going to make a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And today I'm using a 6mm hook and a chunky yarn. But you can use whatever the pattern calls for, whatever you want to use, as long as you get your gauge. Remember, it's always important when you're doing garments to get your gauge. So then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to skip this next chain. And then I'm going to work a single crochet in the next chain. And then I'm going to chain 1, skip the next chain, single crochet in the next chain. And we're just going to do that all the way across. So chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. The stitches in this cardi are actually really simple and sort of quick to work. What you have to pay attention to is the direction of your work and the striping, because there's a striping sequence, and you have to just do the striping sequence. Like, you have to just sort of remember to do it, because the rows are not necessarily, you're repeating so many rows, so the pattern will just say like repeat this row. Just remember to keep with your striping sequence. Okay, so now let's just pretend we did 28 because I didn't have the right number. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 14 single crochets here. And what I'm going to do is start to decrease these on both sides, so that way I get a triangle shape. And like I said, my numbers are probably not going to be right because I'm just doing a small sample. So you're just going to go by the pattern. So we're going to chain up 2, turn your work. Now this is the first stitch right here where I chained up. So you're going to skip that stitch, and then you're going to skip the chain right there. And then you're just going to work a single crochet into the next single crochet. So remember to skip that first stitch and that first chain, and then you're going to chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, and work a single crochet in the next single crochet. Chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, work a single crochet in the next single crochet, and then just repeat that. So chain 1, skip the chain 1 space. It's really quick because whenever you have chain spaces in there, your work goes a little quicker. Okay, so then once you get to sort of the end of your row, when you get to this very last single crochet that you have here, you're going to skip that one. So that's going to be the decrease. So you don't have to work any stitches together. The way it decreases is just by skipping. So now I skipped that last one, so I should have 13 single crochet. And then we're going to do the same thing. So chain up 2, skip the first single crochet, skip the first chain space, and then work in that sequence, which is single crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, single crochet. Single crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, single crochet in. So it's not like the linen stitch where you're doing the single crochets in the chain 1 spaces. For this pattern, you are doing single crochets in single crochets and chain 1 over chain 1 spaces, if that makes sense. So then here is my last single crochet, and here's that first chain 2 that I did. So we're just going to skip that. And then do it again. Chain 2, skip this single crochet, skip the chain 1 space. And because I'm only skipping technically 1 single crochet, at the end of the row, I'm skipping the chain 2 space, or the chain 2, I should say. We're only decreasing by 1 stitch per row. So sometimes if you're trying to do a shape where it makes a triangle like that, where it's decreasing on both sides, you'll be decreasing 2 stitches per row, right? Because you're decreasing 1 stitch on this side and 1 stitch on this side. So every row, so if you have 14, then you'll go down to 12 and 10 and so on. With this pattern, because just the way it's written, because it's chain spaces and single crochets, it's only decreasing by 1 single crochet per row, but it's still going to form a triangle, right? So then you would just keep doing like that. Let me show you. So if you just continue along like we just did, this is how it's going to end up. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. So it's just going to end up being a triangle like this. So we started out with like 15, and then we just kept doing that decrease, even though it was only decreasing by 1 single crochet. By 1 stitch, it's still going to go to form like a point at the top, and then you'll be down to 1 single crochet. Then once you've done that, what you do, so this part is called the inset, right? So it'll say you're going to make the inset, and then once you have this triangle, you're not going to fasten off here. You're going to turn your work, and I already did it on this piece, but what you're going to do is just turn your work this way and start working into the row ends like this. So all I did was a single crochet, a chain 1 into the row ends. Okay, so once I came to that where I had one single crochet left, I did single crochet, chain one into the row ends, and I did what the pattern calls for. Like I said, my sample doesn't have the right amount, but what the pattern calls for. So you're going to want to make sure you have the right amount of single crochets in that row end. And you also want to make sure that you're doing the striping correctly, right? So after we do the inset, which is the triangle, then we're going to do the bottom of the panel. So let me see, change the color sequence, work in pattern row 2. Okay, so now let's pretend we're on pattern row 2 and we have the right amount of stitches that the pattern says. So then we're going to change our color. And like I said, remember to change your color throughout because there's 3 colors in this. No, 4, there's four colors. So we're just going to change to the next color. And then we're going to do chain 3. And then it says single crochet in the first single crochet, which is this one, okay? So now we're not decreasing anymore. So we want to make sure we single crochet into that first single crochet. And then we just work the same exact thing across. So chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, single crochet. Chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, single crochet. So making sure hopefully my feed is working now. My Facebook is not going to give me any problems. Frank says, I wonder if I would have time to finish one of these before Christmas. You might just be able to do it if you have not too much to do. I know we're always busy around this time, but if you don't have too much to do, you might be able to finish this because the actual stitches are pretty quick because you're just doing all those chains. And Linda says, do you prefer to do the back bumps? Yes, I always do that, Linda, always. And Tamara says, every time we do one of these, I'm already working on something. Aren't we all already working on like 10 different things? I know I usually am. And Jennifer's here. Okay, I want to make sure if anybody has any questions, you guys just go ahead and ask. I like to take a minute to check through my comments and see if anybody has any questions about this. And yeah, I think you could probably, Corinne says, just tuning in now. Sorry, I missed the beginning. That's okay, Corinne. We're doing the shadow arrow Cardi, and I just showed you how to do the inset. It's an easy pattern as far as like the stitches, but it's the way it's constructed is very unique. So I thought we could go over that. Because the way to get these really cool diagonal stripes, this is the way you have to do it. You have to start working into the row ends. So now we don't want to decrease anymore. We just want to do the chain 1 in the single crochet. And we're going to skip the chain 1 space and work the single crochet in the single crochet. Just like that. And now, as you can see, I'm working on a diagonal. And then you're going to go all the way to the end and make sure we marked our stitch, so you're doing the single crochet in the marked stitch. And we're going to chain up 2 and then work. So we're going to alternate rows 1 and 2. So that was row 2, and then now for row 1. Now to make it work on a diagonal, this is where it gets a little tricky. Here's my sample. Here's my inset, right? The triangles, like the gray yarn. And then I started working, this is called a bias, I think. I think that's the right term. So as you can see, my stitches are going diagonally, right? So we have to, in order to make it do that, it's kind of like corner to corner, where you have to increase on one side but decrease on the other side. That way you keep the same amount of stitches throughout the whole project, but you're working on the bias like that, or the diagonal, right? So if that makes sense. So we're increasing and then decreasing and then increase, because if we decrease on both sides, we'd end up with a triangle again. So let me show you how to do that. So we're gonna decrease in the beginning, right? So we chain up 2, just like we did in the first part. We're going to skip this stitch, and then we're going to skip this chain 1 space, and we're going to work the pattern across. Single crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, single crochet. Joyce says, hi from Ohio. Hi, Joyce. And there's my friend Cheryl and Renya are here. Raina. So we're just doing chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, and then working a single crochet into the single crochets. So now when we get to the end, here's how we have to increase. So I put my single crochet in the last single crochet, and now I need to put a single crochet into one of the chains here. So we did 3 at the beginning, remember? So 1, 2, one of them counts as a chain 1 space, and then we have to work the single crochet into the second chain. So chain 1, skip that chain 1 space, and then work a single crochet into the second chain. Okay, so now that was, now we're going to go back to the chaining up 3. So 1, 2, 3, and that counts as a half double crochet and a chain 1 space. And then work the single crochet into the same space here. Remember, because we have to increase on this side, right? And then work across. So when you're doing this part of the panel, you should have the same amount of stitches throughout. If you end up with, you start with 30 single crochets, and then you end up with 29 single crochets, you skipped a step. So make sure you count. This one I was counting the whole time to make sure I had the same amount of stitches. Okay, so now you see where it's just like row 1, where here's the last single crochet, here's that first chain 2, we're gonna leave that, we're gonna skip that. Just leave it, don't work into it. And now we're gonna do chain up 2. So we're alternating between chaining up 2 and chaining up 3. Skip this single crochet, skip the chain 1 space, and then work the pattern across. And I'm gonna do a couple more of these, just so you can get the idea of what we're doing. So Fran says, where on the sweater does the triangle fit? It's interesting. That's why I'm going to show you, because it took me some time to figure this one out. Well, not really. I mean, you know, not days or anything, but I was working on it last night and I was like, how does this thing go together? But it's really cool when you see it, and I'll show you, Fran. So now that we're at the end of this row, we need to work into that second chain. So chain 1, there's 1 and there's 2, that's the chain 1 space, and we're gonna work into that second chain. And then we start again, chaining up 3. Work into that first single crochet, so it's like an increase, and then work the pattern across. And as you can see, I have the same amount of stitches for this whole part of it. And if I was changing colors the way you should be, you would see that really cool diagonal striping that's happening in this pattern. So this is going to be, I'm going to just have this be the last row. And here I am at the bottom, so I want to skip that chain 2. So as you can see, let me see. Okay, so here's my triangle, right? Here's, this way. I'm going the wrong way with this. Here we go. So here's my triangle. That's where we decreased on both sides. And now, if you can see, this is not increasing or decreasing into a triangle. It's going straight out, but it's worked on a diagonal. So when you finish doing how many rows the pattern calls for, it's going to look like this. Here's my triangle, and here's my what I was just doing, where I was increasing on one end and decreasing on the other end. And that's what makes it work diagonally like that with keeping the same amount of stitches. So you would be doing the striping right here. And I'm just using this. In this one, I just used like a self-striping yarn. But since this was my sample, I didn't do the striping. But here's where you would do the striping, not on the inset. You don't have to do, this would be all white. And then you would do the striping here when you start working on the bias like this. So now, let me see if I can show you a picture and answer Fran's question. So you can see what I did. Now look at this, because this is what helped me to figure out how this goes together once you put it together. Here's my triangle. Here's my striping that we just did, where we're increasing on one side and decreasing on the other side, and you're going to work all the way up. It changes a little bit at the shoulder because you have to do a little shaping there, but of course that's in the pattern. So see, that's what I did. My triangle, and then I work the bias on the bottom, and then after you do that, you're going to fasten off this part, and you're going to go over here. You're going to start down here at the bottom corner, and you're going to work the same thing. You're going to work those diagonal stripes on the bias that way. So what's going to happen when this whole panel is complete, it's going to be a long rectangle. So there's my triangle, there's my bias, and then I should, my phone could go up a little higher so you could see this better, but okay. So see, once I start working up here, that's going to go up and come to a triangle, and then that will be one panel. So it'll be like this part of it. And then you're going to do the same thing for the other side, and it's going to be this part of it. And then you're going to do that 2 more times for the front 2 panels. And then all you have to do is sew those rectangles down the middle, line up the stripes, of course, sew it down the middle, and then sew it at the shoulders, and then sew it at the sides. And then you have to just do the sleeves, which are worked very similarly, and then you sew on the sleeves. And then you put this nice little border around it, and that's it. When I saw this pattern, I was like, wow, this is so cool. I never, to me, it reminded me a little bit of corner to corner, but I was like, how did she do this really cool striping? It looks so cool. So that's how she did it. You just have to work everything on a bias like that, and it's really not hard. It's really simple. You just have to remember to follow your color striping. Let me see if I can move my phone back up so I can see if anybody has any questions. There we go. So I'm looking on my TV to see if anybody has any questions. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If anybody has a question, you can ask me now, but I think we kind of went over how it's constructed. I'm still wearing my little hat. How to work it. Work the triangle first, work the one bias, work the other bias, put all those rectangles together. You're going to get a bunch of cool rectangles, put them all together, and you have a really gorgeous cardigan. And yes, I think you can finish that before Christmas. Somebody asked me that. I think you can do it. I think you can do it. And imagine like the color combinations you could come up with. So you could do some really fun things. And I hope everyone, make sure I don't have anybody asking a question. I hope all my friends enjoyed this video again today. I will see you next week. I'll be here next week at 12 noon. Of course, the following week I won't be here, but you can always watch my old videos over on the Annie's Facebook page. Watch my block parties. All that stuff is on Annie's Facebook page. So if you missed anything, or if you want to try this out and rewatch the video, of course you can do that. Make sure that you join the Annie's Facebook group if you'd like to join and have a bunch of like-minded crocheters and other people to talk to. That's always fun. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And thanks for joining me. I will see you next week. Bye, guys.